Okay, here we are in the lab again, and it is episode number 6 of the Retro 1993 PC build. And so we have our network card in, and we know that it's working. The hardware and the CPU is communicating with each other. Everything's good, but that does not mean that we can get on the network yet. So first, let's set up the mouse. We'll get the mouse set up. Then we will add what is called a shim, because DOS runs in what they call real mode, which is just like MS-DOS is just running with regular memory and all that stuff, old school. But the 386 runs in enhanced mode, in protected mode. So that means that different sections of memory, it's not an actual physical address. There's called virtual addresses. So memory is divided up into blocks. And each block can be, well, a program uses certain blocks. And while that program has those blocks, no other program can access that program's memory. And that is called protected mode, because each memory location, each memory segment is protected from each other. And that's a security thing. And then it's a reliability thing, because you can't have one program overwriting the memory of another program. It would just be chaos and it wouldn't work. So, but with that being said, protected mode just can't directly talk to real mode. So Windows cannot talk directly to DOS. So you need a shim. It's called a shim. So we're going to download a shim and install it. We'll load it in our auto-exec.bat file. And then when we load Windows, that will allow Windows in protected mode to access the network card through DOS in real mode. So that's kind of the way it works. And it's a lot easier to implement than to talk about. So, and then, let's see, after we get the shim in, then we will install Trumpet Winsock. So Trumpet Winsock is a third-party software that has a TCP IP stack, which means that it allows Windows 3.1 to access the network with the TCP IP protocol, which is what we use nowadays. But in those days, they didn't do that. They had Novell, and Microsoft used it's called NetBEUI and IPX and one other protocol for the network, which is fine for just like transferring files, and you can set up a Novell netware network or a Microsoft network. But that doesn't help us. You can't get on the internet or do web pages or anything with those protocols. So, and those weren't even standard with this version of Windows 3.1. You had to get Windows for Work groups to get the networking. And even with that, then we can't get online anyway. So I'm just using 3.1, and then we'll install the TCP IP stack. And we'll use Trumpet Winsock, which is the name of it. There's a couple other ones that were available at the time, but this is kind of a newer. I think this Trumpet Winsock came out in 1998. It's the only one that I can find so far. So also I want to mention that if you go to www.antimatter.me, everything in this video is downloadable from there. I will pop up a link. And so that way you don't have to search for it or, try to find the right one, right version. And it just simplifies stuff for all of us. And so then once we get Trumpet Winsock on, which will pretty much eat up, all that'll eat up this video time probably. So then in the next video, we will have to install an FTP client. So when you want to transfer files over the network, you will use an FTP client. So we will install WSFTP, which was pretty popular back in the day. And then we will be able to send files from this machine I'm doing the video on to the retro PC. And that makes it easier so we don't have to use the floppy disk and the emulator. We'll get rid of that floppy emulator out of the machine. And then we'll get our floppy drive mounted the way it's supposed to be in the case, because we won't be dragging it around in and out. And yeah, so we'll go from there. We're getting close to getting really deep. This is just the regular standard stuff here. So stay tuned for some heavy duty stuff later. So right now, let's get to it. Okay, so we are going to install the serial port card. And so we can use our mouse. So we got the computer off. So we're going to slide it in on the farthest down slot we can go. And so this has some jumpers. And we'll go over that and then we'll start. Okay, so on this particular card, which is a little bit out of the ordinary, we have a jumper right here. This is to set the behavior of the clear to send, the CTS line on the COM port over here. So there's behavior. The behavior can be, I think it has off. I can't tell, but then it has 1, 2, and 4, so it can behave as COM port 1, COM port 2, or COM port 4. But we'll just leave the jumper where it's at, because unless we have some flow control problems, then we won't mess with that. So the next one is right here, and this defines what COM port we're going to use, and we're going to leave it on 1 because the mouse is usually always on COM 1. It can be other COM ports, but COM 1 is just the standard. So then we have the IRQ, and we'll just leave that where it's at, which is IRQ4. That's kind of a norm. So the jumpers, that's all there is to the jumpers. So the way this came from the factory is the way we're going to run it. So we didn't have to change anything, but it's important. The IRQ and the COM port is very important. All right. So we'll put this bad boy in there. Just like that. And grab a screw. Let's see. There we go. Oh, grab another screw. Okay. Put that bad boy right in there. All right, there's that. And then we have our mouse here, brand new mouse. You can still buy them, but they're not $10, that's for sure. All right, so let's stretch this out. At least it's got a laser on it. the balls, the mouse ball always used to get dirty and you'd have to clean it or buy a new one. But if you bought a new one every time, it might be expensive. All right. And that puppy's in there. So we should, when we hit Windows, I don't know if we'll have to install a driver or not. We might have to. Okay, so it's in there. Okay, so since we installed our serial card and mouse after we installed Windows, then we have to go back to the Windows setup and install the mouse, and then everything should work. So we got to do that from the Windows directory, and we just run setup. And then you want to, whatever you want to change, which is the mouse in this case, click on it. And that's what we're going to choose anyway. So we're going to hit that. And you can choose, you can load one from a disk too. Come down here. Other requires disk. All right, you can do that too if you have a different type of mouse. But we're just going to use the Genius. The Genius one works kind of as a generic one for a serial mouse. This one down here, the Microsoft, that's like PS2. It doesn't quite work right. So we'll select that one and then enter continue. And so we want to keep driver. We want to replace the driver just to show how you do it. All right, so then you got to put in the Windows disk. And all right, and that's pretty much it. Then we can just CD /, or you don't even have to do that, but let's just kind of back where we started, run Windows. All right, yep, there we go. There's our mouse. Perfect. So we got a little error. We'll have to work on that. Not really an error. It's just information. So there it is. There's our mouse. We can click. Okay, so now it's time to get our shim. And we'll go to antimatter. The link that I put up before, we'll go there. And we will download winpacket.com and use their emulator, our USB drive, our floppy emulator, to one more time to transfer the shim onto our computer, our retro, and then we will copy it into a directory, and then we will edit our autoexec.bat file to load it right after our packet driver for our network card. And then that will enable Windows to talk to the network card. All right. Okay, so we'll open our browser and we will go to antimatter.me/win 3.1. And this is my domain. So I have everything that we need to download in here. There'll be more. And you can easily download everything from here in case you can't find it somewhere else. All right, so we want winpacket.com, and we will save it to our downloads. All right, don't need that. Bring that over here, and downloads. There's our WinPacket, so we copy it, go down here to our USB drive, paste it, and then we'll transfer it to our retro machine. Okay, so we need to make a directory. Actually, I think I already made a directory. So it's what we want to do is put this win packet in our net directory right here. And so we'll just go copy B backslash winpacket.com to C backslash net. And I already have it in there, so we'll just say yes, override it. All right, so we copied that in there. So now we have to edit our auto exec bat to load the win packet when our system starts. There we go. All right, so I have it already. I was doing a test. So that's just it. You load it like this. That's our directory right here, the net. This is win packet file, and then this is our interrupt vector, our software interrupt vector. So we have to tell it that. And that's the same as this one up here. So that's the way we load that. And we should be good to go. So, all right. So if we try it, if we go win packet, it's not in the path. Like that. There we go. That's our virtual packet driver for Windows 3.x. So we should be good to go. So now we're at the point where our network card's working good and we got our shim in, our packet driver, everything's good. And so now we got to do TCP IP. That's the standard you use when you get on the internet today. And so we'll use that to communicate back and forth with other computers and exchange files on the network. So at this time, you have to have another computer to do this. You have to have another computer that's on the network. It can be wireless. I prefer Ethernet, but it can be wireless or Ethernet. You just have to have another computer on the network. And then you can exchange data back and forth. And you can use the new computer to download information into your directory that you specify, and then you can read that directory with the retro PC and exchange that information over. And you don't have to do the switch with the floppy drives and stuff. We're almost done. We got a couple more uses of the drive emulator, and then we will be done with that. So let's jump on the internet on the newer computer and download Trumpet Winsock. And one of the most important things about a network is you got to plug in the network cable. So we'll get that done right now. There you go. See the other light come on? That means we have a link. Okay, let's open up our browser and go to WinWorld. WinWorldPC.com. Go to their library, and we might have to do a search. Go up here, Trumpet. Just search for Trumpet, see what we find. Trumpet Winsock. There we go. version 3. That's what we want. And download. All right. And save it. All right, so we don't need that. And we'll open up File Explorer and go to Downloads. Trumpet Winsock, we'll right click on that and extract all. All right, there's our Trumpet Winsock and our disk image. So then we're going to transfer the disk image to the floppy just like we did before. Okay, so we want to use WinImage here to transfer the disk image to our USB drive. So we'll open it and we'll go to Trumpet Winsock, open the disk image, and there's our files in there. Notice they have the underscore. That means they're compressed, so you can't use them without running the install. So we want to image extract, and we want to go to our USB drive, which is F. Hit OK. All right, and then if we open up the File Explorer, we go to drive F. There is all the files that we need. So we're done there. And we're done with WinImage. Okay, so let's install Trumpet Winsock. We have our flash drive in drive B. We'll go to File Manager. And we want to go to drive B. There's our drive B. So we just want to hit the install. All right, so we want to install. Okay, we don't have it. We don't care. Yes, I guess we don't care once again. All right, so yeah, I mean, we'll just go with default. We don't care too much. Okay. Trumpet Winsock was released as shareware. So you could download it for free back in the day, just like we did today. The only difference being now it's so old that nobody cares. But it was very important for people to use Netscape to get online and browse the new internet. Okay. So it's going to put Trumpet directory in the path, environment path. So we're going to hit OK. And that's OK. Do we want to save our old one? I don't want to save it. All right, licensing. I don't think that would apply to this day, but it You never know. Okay, so now we have to set up an IP address. I think we leave that blank for right now. So we'll just hit OK for right now. We don't have a dialer. We're going to use the packet driver. There we go. Yeah, so we use the packet driver. The vector is, if we remember on our old one, I think it's 60. All right. Net mask, that's always, almost always 255. .0. That means that you can have 255 machines right here with this IP address right here. The rest of them are out set to where it only accesses the IPs from this last digit. The gateway, we'll have to set that later. I'll show you how to find the gateway. So we'll just go OK. And you will need to restart Trumpet Winsock. Okay. All right. Remember to remove the disk before restarting your computer. And we'll restart. What happens? That's an interesting thing we have to look at. Okay, and we can set up the auto execbat file to load Windows automatically without stopping here. But there's some advantages to stopping here because you can do some things if you need to do some DOS stuff later. We'll go back to Windows. There's our mouse back again. So something about that we'll have to figure out. So this is actually like the beginning of the start button, kind of. All right, so there's our Trumpet Winsock. We have a few things. All right, now we can get into some network stuff. Okay, so let's take a look at what our router IP is. So you just come down here to your network. It could be Wi-Fi. I have a wired LAN, Ethernet, but it's the same thing. We go up here, but since I have Ethernet, we will double click on that. And now this will give you the information you need. So the IP address of this machine right here is 192.168.0.50. And the default gateway, that's our router, is 192.168.0.1, which is usually like number one on the domain, the IP. All right, so that's all we need to know. That is going to be your gateway for Winsock. And this is the IP of this machine. So we made our retro machine 100 right here. You just have to make sure there's no other machines or devices on the network with the same IP. All right, so that's how you get that. And it has to be in the same subnet. So our subnet mask made it to where it has to be all of these numbers here, 192.168.0. It has to be, every IP on your network has to have that. And then each machine has its own individual number on this section. Okay, that's very important. All right, you can't have like a 1 or any other number in here. It has to be just like these first three sections have to be just like that. All right, so then close that. Okay, so now we got to set up our IP for Trumpet Winsock, and that should do everything right there. So we will set our IP address here at 100, but no other computer can have the same IP address on the network, or it won't work. And that's our router that we looked up. That's our gateway and our router. Most everybody's router is probably going to be that IP address on the local network. These are local IPs, not internet IPs. And there's our subnet mask and our interrupt vector we have set up before. So we're good. All right, and then we got to restart Winsock whenever you make a change. All right, so there's our Winsock. And you can tell when it works because there's the gateway IP is popping up, and we have our Ethernet address pop up. That's very important. Okay, so we should have everything set up to get onto the network. So the next thing is that we have to have Trumpet Winsock open in Windows. And then we'll go to another machine on the network and we'll ping our retro, which is IP address 100, remember, and we'll ping that IP address and see if we get a response. We'll come over here. We need to open up a prompt. So here's the command prompt, but if it doesn't show up, you just type in CMD and it should come up. And then you want to run it as administrator just to have all the available access. And then you just type in ping and then 192.168.0 and then our retro machine is 100 and hit enter. And it timed out. One timed out, but it sent 4, it received 3. Let's just do it again. You can hit F3 and it will retype for you. There we go. It just took it a minute for some reason. But yeah, when you get this, a reply, and that's the time, 7 millisecond round trip. All right. So we're online. That means that we have a connection, an Ethernet connection between here and our retro. Okay, so we did it. This is a milestone. So our retro PC is now on the network. A 1993 386 is on the modern day 2025 network. So we haven't really exchanged any data other than a ping, but we're going to do that in the next video. So that pretty much concludes this video, and we will get into it much deeper in the next video. So I will see you there.